Well, Ayanna, you have reached a great milestone. You are now 21 years old. Um, you know, I can remember the day. I can remember the day of holding you in the hospital just after you were born. Man, I'll tell you, you have no idea what that felt like to me. It wasn't long before you spent some time up on Wolverine Mountain with me in my home, and I mean, I can remember the times that we spent together. I can remember the time of being in my office in my home, lying on the floor, and you were just this little bundle. You couldn't have been a month old or 2 months old, and just laying on top of my chest, sound asleep. You know, I can remember playing video games with you while you were just a little toddler on my computer. It amazed me that this little girl, wanted to play the video game. When you lived there in Wolverine Mountain, you also, I'll tell you, you loved cooking. I mean, we made um, cookies, made all sorts of things, and you just loved playing around. Um, and I'll tell you, that was 21 years ago. Um, and it's interesting the things that have happened in 21 years to you, but things have happened to me in the last 21 years that have changed my Weltanschauung, my worldview. 21 years ago, I operated in a world in which I thought that I was immortal, that I knew that someday I'd die. I knew that up here. I didn't feel it here. And then when Jack and Owen came along, I'm doing the same things that I did with you, with them. Video games, cooking, goofing around. It was a year or so ago that Jack and Owen were up in Valpo, or up in Crown Point. We went to Valpo, and you initiated them into the kind of the Elmo Club. Ayanna, well, you were in daycare. You were just a toddler. Every week we would go to Dairy Queen, and you would get what you called an Elmo, and it was vanilla ice cream dipped in red cherry topping, and you called it Elmo from Sesame Street. We did that for about a decade and a half. Toward the end of that time period, we got away from having Elmo, and even sometimes going away from Dairy Queen. But you wanted to initiate Jack and Owen into it is an amazing period of time for me, as it is for you. You're an only child, and being an only child is kind of a unique experience, because by the time you were in middle school or beginning of high school, anything that adults were talking about, you would be involved in the discussion. And so you went from an infant to an adult really rapidly. Um, and I mean, we've had discussions. I mean, it was just a couple of months ago, 5 or 6 months ago, that I asked something about, you know, how your mother and you perceived, and actually I was addressing it to your mother. What are the changes since I've danced with death twice? And she just didn't want to get into it. I mean, I don't know why, but, and you said, oh, Papa, you know, da, 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 da. You have one is that you have an amazing intellectual ability. That's one. And two, you're willing to say what you believe. Man, I'll tell you, in the world in which we live, even in the 21st century, a woman has, a woman isn't as equal as a male. And we call it sexism. And man, I'll tell you, Ayanna, and I tell all my students, addressing it to just the females, the only way you're going to get equality in this world, the only way is to do more than what a man does. Men are not going to give you equality. That's true with sexism. It's true with racism. It's true with all the various isms that are the negative issues in our lives. And what's, as I said, an old man, well, I am an old man, as your old grandfather looks back upon life, there are no examples of white males giving people things, whether it's race or sexism. Those groups have to demand it. And man, Ayanna, you have the intellectual ability and also the verbal ability to do precisely that. There are lots of people in this world that just kind of said, you know, can't change anything, just kind of go with the flow. That's not you. You will not go with the flow. And so on your 21st birthday, you know, 21 years, it's only in the last 15 or 16 years that you remember very much of anything, since you're about 5. But Ayanna, you have an amazing ability to think and then to articulate it. And man, I'll tell you, and that was done in the first 21 years. There are other milestones in life, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now. You have all the apparatus, all the mental apparatus, and all the ability to articulate how you feel. I congratulate you for making it to 21. But you have a vast, vast world out there as you walk down your yellow brick road of life. And you're equipped. So go out in that world. Tell them what you believe. And do something. Produce something for other people. I'm proud of you. You go, girl. And happy birthday.